Okay, my name is Ryan Brown. I'm the director of Demon Witch Child, and with me today on this director commentary is Jessica Tilton. She's the writer of the film.
Demon Witch Child.
Demon Witch Child.
Okay.
So, Jessica, can we talk a little bit about this opening scene? You have, and I remember when you were writing this, you were
Sorry,
like,
that was my child in the background.
we have a child in the background. Okay, so this was an important scene to you. You wanted...
I wanted to create a sense of atmosphere that it would immediately pull the audience in by the balls.
And one thing that you knew, you were like, audiences love older women who are kind of shrouded in a black, like...
well, and also in mystery, shrouded in
okay,
mystery.
is that a...
well, so I wanted it to be ambiguous. I wanted it to be ambiguous because, you know... Shame on you, basically.
Right, exactly. You wanted to kind of be subversive, like, oh, you see somebody in kind of like...
Just because it's in a cloak, you assume it's a woman.
You assume it's
and I wanted the audience to suddenly feel ashamed.
You wanted to say, look, it's not always a woman who's in a veil in a church.
It was your stroke of genius to cast your uncle.
Yep. That's Uncle Victor.
Uh-huh.
And we got him in. He actually really didn't want to be in it. And the part when he pushed over all those candles,
yeah,
that was all improv.
Wow.
And we were like...
I heard about it
from
crew members, but didn't know it was true.
We were actually like, Victor, he would do it every take. He would push something over. We were like, can you...
Because he was so upset?
Yeah, well, it was supposed to... The original scene, he was supposed to go in, pray.
Uh-huh. I remember because I wrote it.
You remember when you... Yeah. You obviously... He was supposed to pray, but he just kept with breaking stuff or pushing stuff, and we were like, "Fuck it!" If that's it, he got inspired, and we let him do it.
That's art.
So
okay. So originally,
wait, but let's just point out. Look at how well I lit that scene.
Yeah, I like how you can't really tell anything about where they are.
That's
so.
Right, I wanted to create a sense of disorientation. Okay,
I'm very disoriented.
Why is it so dark? Why is the lighting like that? Movies aren't supposed to look like that. And I'm like, yeah, they're not supposed to look like that. Exactly. You're in a different world now. Okay,
and now we're watching a movie.
Yeah. If you want to go see whatever Iron Man they're on 5 or 6.
Yeah, they'll have that thing lit up like a freaking Christmas tree.
It'll be like the Mac store, where you get makeup. I feel like that place is really well lit for some reason. I walk by there a lot, and I'm like, wow, lighting in there is great. And
originally in this role, we wanted to cast, of course, Heather Graham. Unfortunately, she wasn't available. The
weird thing about Heather Graham is she wants more than $1,000 to be in a movie. And that just wasn't on our... That's just not where we're at.
That wasn't our budget.
But we both sent her at least 5 emails about it, and
I sent 5. I sent her 20.
You sent her
in the space of an hour, just like Heather.
So this actor here, we had a little bit of an argument about
Bianco Gianni.
He's one of the great guys who plays a priest.
Mm-hmm. He always plays priest. Or, oddly enough, I did happen to catch him in another Grindhouse film in which he played an American Indian, which I found.
And then we got Chelsea Peretti in this movie as one of her early roles.
Look at that. Look at those cute little pants.
Yeah.
She was so excited that day. Do you remember?
I do. But so... Can you tell the story of when we had a big fight because you didn't want to cast him as the priest because you said that he was too I think you said he was too had a creepy vibe
Well, some things happened earlier that day that put me off to it. I saw him standing by a window watching a group of children play, and I just didn't really feel comfortable with the way he was looking at him. It wasn't like, oh, there's an older man, admiring, jubilant youth.
Yeah.
No, it was an older man,
right,
admiring jubilant youth. Do you know what I mean?
No,
Different connotation.
I saw the same thing, but I never thought of it in terms of the kids. I just didn't like the way he looked out windows. Like there was just something.
I will say that he sometimes he would rock back and forth.
Yeah, there was just weird. There was a weird.
Oh, there's your uncle again.
Okay. I don't think he pushes anything over in the scene, but he was.
Well, he calls it as he sees it. You didn't really. I noticed. I was watching you guys on. That's all improv, people. I did not write a word of that.
He's a big improviser. I mean, we barely could. I'm almost 100% sure that he didn't read the script, but we tried to get him to do it, and he would just kind of.
Improv is a little hard out.
Yeah, yeah.
There she is. Man, it was hard to find an actress to do that role.
It was hard to find somebody who would let us do all the voiceover for her, and kind of just say whatever we wanted.
As I remember, she had kind of a weird story. She called in one day and said she couldn't be on set. But what was the story that she told to get out of working?
She said that she was involved in like she had a side job as she worked in a popcorn factory, and that like all the popcorn started popping like uncontrollably, and she had to it was like, you remember that Lucy, what is it? I Love Lucy, where she was like eating all the chocolate. Yeah, like they made her do that, but with all the popcorn, and she kept eating it, and then and she was the only one doing it. So she had to be there.
I still don't quite believe that was what happened. I think she was just hungover. But either way,
but she stuck to it. Like I pressed her on it a bunch. I was like, just stop. Just let go. Yeah, just let go of the story. Like it's clear that you made that up. Like it just sounds ridiculous. And she was like, I swear on my fucking life that popcorn thing is true. And I'm like, this is
the
like
fact that she calls it the popcorn thing.
The popcorn thing.
The popcorn thing is the story I made.
I'm like, you're fucking crazy. Like you're making me feel like you think I'm stupid by sticking to the story.
Well, I know you're getting upset, but we do have to do the commentary.
Okay.
So
Yeah. Let's just leave that. So this is like, you have a method when you write movies.
I do.
Can you talk a little bit about?
I don't know how they're going to end. I don't even know how they're going to begin.
You kind of dive in.
I kind of dive in, and I don't put a whole lot of pressure on myself to make it good.
Wow, that's not a lot of people.
I'm just like, just write it. Who cares if that plot lines up with that plot? If that character's dead, they could come back to life. There are no rules.
I really admire that, and I wasn't gonna say this, but when you showed me the script, I was like, it looks like she was barely paying attention when she wrote this.
I mean, I took the script to another director, and he said, "Did your child write this? This is just chicken scratch."
Well, that's another thing.
And I took it as a compliment, but now I think he was being a little bit salty with me.
He's being a little bit of a C.
Yeah.
Well, that's another thing in your kind of mythology.
Richard Dreyfuss was the name of the director. I think he's also an actor.
Well, no, I know you've worked with Richard Dreyfuss, who's not. It's a different guy, but he just keeps that name.
Okay.
And I don't like him. I'll say that right now.
Mr. Holland's orchestra?
Yeah. No, what I'm saying is that he's totally different guy.
Oh.
Okay?
Okay.
Totally. So I don't even want to go into that. But another thing about your mythology as a writer is that you actually do let children write some of your scripts.
Occasionally.
Like you'll find a kid.
I don't happen to have any children. I'm extremely barren, and it's been the curse of my life.
Right. You're very dry.
Well,
you're like a very dry
I
woman.
I like to have the children from my neighborhood, when they're out playing, I call to them from the window, but not in the same way that other guy does.
Mm-hmm.
And I say, come over here. I need you to write a Hollywood film for me, a grindhouse film.
Right.
And they love it. And there's chocolate milk involved, and peanut butter cookies, and.
Can I ask you this? Do the kids' parents know that you're I mean, do you give them any kind of royalties?
It's not like I'm spanking them.
I mean, you've written.
Oh, do they get any money?
Are they getting a piece of any of this? Because what I've heard is that
I'd like to know where the money's going because I'm certainly not getting any checks.
you've written over 35 scripts.
Correct.
And what I've heard is that, I mean, there are some of these scripts where it's like 80% was written by these neighborhood kids. And I've also heard that, I mean, there's been a lot of stuff about you kind of denying it and not giving them their payment, and the parents get involved.
I don't give them their payment because I made it very clear to them on the day that they came in and wrote.
You got to hold the mic. You're getting upset and you're shaking the mic around.
I'm sorry. I'm just sick of defending myself.
Right.
This is just like the Dane Cook situation where he had to defend himself.
And you're a big supporter of Dane Cook as well.
Well, we casually fuck on the side.
Right. So you're tired of
I'm tired of defending myself because I told the children on the day, I am giving you chocolate milk and peanut butter cookies.
Like we have said, this is the payment.
These are the parameters.
Yeah.
This is our verbal contract, and it is binding.
Right.
I have this housemaid, and she's also a notary. So anytime I say anything at all inside my home, she just notarize it.
She just stamps, like, she's authorized.
Whatever she does, Belinda's the best.
That's great. I mean, I just wanted to give you kind of a platform to address that.
These children are not owed any money.
You've made an exchange. They gave you some work.
Yes.
You know,
and half of it I have to go back and correct their spelling because it's atrocious.
Right. Yeah. It is hard working with children writers. I mean, maybe even more so than kid actors, I would say.
You adapted it perfectly, and I think there's just the right amount of everything.
Yeah. Well, this scene I really wanted to kind of drag on for longer, and this is a thing that
it's quite slow.
And to young directors out there, they're going to tell you in film school, don't let scenes drag on and the audience is getting bored. I say let it drag on too long to subvert the whole thing. That's what I do. You know, I'm like, I'm going to let this drag on really long so that people's attention spans are actually being elongated. It's the elongation process.
I was wondering what was going on because I was there that day as well on set because I really didn't have anything else to do. And
I noticed that.
I was there a lot. I was going through some stuff at the time.
Well, there was also and it was during the day and at night, there was a lot of kind of like sleeping in your car stuff. Do you want to... I mean,
I went to set because one, I wanted to supervise, of course, and make sure what was on the page was being represented. But also, there's a craft table there, and
well, okay.
I was very hungry. I was going through a very hard time, financially, and I didn't have a lot of spare change. And there were beds on set. There were.
I mean, most of those. Can I just say? Well, that's something that we
and food and drugs and not that I partook of the drugs, but I did know.
Well, if the drugs was not part of the craft services, if that was your
ketamine was being passed around in between takes. Anyways, I noticed on set one day, I don't really want to delve too much more into the fact that I was living out of my car.
Well. Okay, you did mention that you were sleeping on beds. Well, a lot of those beds were part of the set, I feel like, and we were trying to shoot during a lot of those sleeping and it was extremely hard to wake you up because you have a very, I would say, unusual manner of sleep, which involves very disturbing shouting when anyone else is around or tries to wake you up.
They're called night terrors.
Yeah.
I also have sleep paralysis.
Yeah.
And it's something that I live with. It's my cross to bear, and I'm sorry that, you guys had to witness that because it is a very dark, very disturbing thing to witness.
Some of the things that you were shouting.
This is actually what inspired this scene.
Oh, okay.
I was writing about my experience just being frozen in bed, frozen with terror as aliens literally drop down from the sky and come to get you. And
I mean,
I'm not going to get into it. But
I would understand that if she were shouting profanity and pretty much throwing off the whole vibe of the cast and crew. But
so
that's okay. I mean,
we were talking earlier about how you let scenes drag on and be bad. And I noticed one day on set, I was watching you direct, and it was very interesting because that previous scene, you said, rolling, action, and all the actors started. And at one point, they did look quite confused and looked to you for guidance. And you were... How do I describe what you were doing? You had asked a PA to bring a toilet out, and you were sitting on the toilet in full view of everyone, and you just waved your hand like, keep going. And they did. They did. And they did it for quite a while, and you were on the toilet for quite a while, and eventually you got up and flushed.
This is what I'll say.
And it was over.
This is what I will say to address that question, is that the creative process is mysterious and sometimes dark. And that's where I went creatively at that moment. Yeah. And, you know, to be honest, I just don't think that you as a writer can maybe understand that kind of stuff all the time. Because writing is very, especially when you're, you know, not to be a jerk, but getting other children to do it, you just don't, you're not tapped into it like I might be.
That's completely false.
Well,
there he is again. God, every time.
So you were actually I think that you started dating him, and that's what was his name? Virgo Morelli, I think.
No,
that's
you're thinking of the other guy.
Oh, okay, the guy my uncle.
This is actually my teddy bear. I asked if you could use it in the scene,
and we did. We put it in there. Thank you.
And she made it work. She's just the Meryl Streep of child actors, I feel.
She's great. I don't want to say anything bad about her. She was an extreme handful. I mean, like her demands were borderline insane. Like some of the stuff that she wanted just to show up, really.
Yeah.
I mean, it was like...
I don't think she knew who I was because she kept handing me Doritos and telling me just lick off all the dust and give it back to her.
That was huge, yeah.
I was a little bit confused, and so I did it for like 2 days. I was licking all these Doritos.
Well, we would ask her, why don't you just get tortilla chips, because that's what a licked-off Dorito is. And she was like, this is the way I want it. Like, I don't want to hear that question again. And then... Did you experience the Gatorade? Like, she needed all this Gatorade, and it was like certain colors on different days. It was. Oh. It was.
She was a strange bird. She told me she likes Doritos when they're wet.
Yeah.
With
yeah.
Saliva.
Yeah.
It's a comfort to her.
We tried everything. It was like squeeze a little bit of lime, or maybe we could put our you put your fingers.
Yeah, you tried to fake it, but
you put your fingers in water and you kind of like splash them so it's just lightly wet with the tortilla chips, and that didn't work for her either. It was really a struggle just to get.
I think she's had a very difficult childhood.
Yeah.
This, at the time, this is considered a very racy movie just because of that side boob that you just saw.
Yeah, I was one of the first directors to ever write in the notes side boob. Like, because I read the script and it just basically said Gypsy does a hex or something like that.
Uh-huh.
And I wrote side boob. I knew, like, right away.
That's what this scene needed.
That's what this scene needed. It needs a certain, humanness. I would say it needs a certain humanity to it, okay? And there's something so human about a side boob. And I don't know what it is, but...
Okay, you're getting a little precious with this.
I mean, this piece...
she's masturbating.
Was just, yeah.
This was supposed to be... She awakes from her masturbation.
Well, like I said, the creative process is very mysterious.
I like the overhead shot for this one, by the way,
yeah.
Ryan.
Yeah.
Very good call on that. It just shows, really how fragile we are. We could just fall down a flight of steps and fucking die.
That's what I was saying. I was like, look, when you go down a flight of steps, you don't know who's up there.
You were taking your life into your own hands.
You're like, and I actually came up with this move called the dangle, where I get the camera and I kind of dangle over, and directors have been using it a lot ever since.
It'll pass. It's just the age she's at. It's quite natural.
Okay, so this year I actually don't remember. I'm just gonna be honest. I don't remember that.
No, I don't think anybody really does. There was a 5-day block where nobody really remembers anything. It was quite.
Yeah.
It was very strange.
That was strange. There was those 5 days that we shot, and they're in the movie.
They're in the movie. We clearly shot them. I clearly wrote them, but I don't recall.
I don't. Yeah,
any of this.
I literally don't remember any part of them, and I don't remember even editing them in, but they're still there.
This is, it's going to go down in movie history. This story about this 5 day. It's the Bermuda Triangle of shooting.
That's what it is. That's what kind of these film writer guys, who most of them don't get this movie. Let's be honest.
No, they've been real dicks about it.
They've been real, just wads.
Yeah, I would just say they're just wadded up the butt about it.
Yeah, they're kind of just like somebody. I don't know. The way I feel about it is that someone jerked off all over them, and that's where they're starting from in their film theory, And I just don't understand that, But that's just me.
Now, okay, this is a little bit of set gossip, and I don't want to spend. I don't want to pry into your personal life.
Right.
But I did hear that you and this actress in the red cloak,
yes,
the one who works in the popcorn factory,
yeah,
that you two did have a
yeah, I think I know where this is going. Right.
Love affair.
Well, okay, so
and I did not believe it at all. You two together.
Well, the
no.
deal the deal is, and there's been a lot of speculation on this, is that I met her at her work, which is a
popcorn factory
place where, I think the popcorn thing is kind of a side job, like a thing she would do at night, but I met her when she was working at what I would call a relaxation spa. And I would frequent that place a lot, and I was and let's just say certain financial stuff came up with on my side, maybe needing to offer her certain roles in a movie as payment for certain services. And that's basically the story of how she ended up in this movie. And I was kind of worried about it, but she's actually really a great actress.
You need to go to Sex Addicts Anonymous. There's really nothing to be ashamed of. Not 5 minutes ago, you were putting on a condom, and I said, "Why are you putting on a condom, Ryan?" And you were like, "I just want to be ready."
You never know. You never know.
Because you never know. And I was like, it's not going to happen with me, buddy. And you were like, oh, no, I know. But somebody will come along.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know. I just like to, and that might be part of me being a director, is that you just never know what's going to happen. You want to be prepared for everything.
Well, I'm sure successful directors have that problem, but I don't think
You're right. Successful directors like me have a lot of those problems, and we kind of need to deal with that a lot. So, yeah. Okay, so when you were writing, I remember you told me that you wanted this scene to kind of really, punch. You wanted this to stick out.
Because it's so bad. The scene is so bad. Mm-hmm. And I knew, just to keep somebody from walking out of the theater, that we needed some... So we cast all these beautiful women, these hotties.
Yeah. I mean, we went through a lot of Craigslist.
It was a nightmare. I like to involve myself with every aspect of the filmmaking process.
Yeah, but we both agreed these women are ultra fuckable.
They have to be ready to go.
Yeah, I mean, well, they have to make the audience kind of like really just like, oh
Get
my
a
gosh.
boner.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, exactly. But that's kind of your thing, is you like to write these, what most people consider horrible scenes, like just
Yeah.
really.
And then rely on somebody else to come along and make it really good. And I think we accomplished that. You accomplished that.
So some of this furniture is yours, like that that headboard.
Yeah, when I had a house, it was my furniture, but it would not fit into my car.
Yeah, we actually.
So I said, well, why don't you guys just use this for the set?
So that's how the sets became kind of where you were living at the same. You just kind of needed to unload this furniture out of your, you know.
Yeah, and then it was kind of like, I could get a hotel, but why not just use this place? I mean, it was extremely comfortable and warm. And also, I didn't have any money to pay for a hotel.
Are you inspired? So you're kind of a struggling writer. Are you inspired by like J.K. Rowling's type stories where it's like she was, you know, had no money and she had a kid and she was like writing and finally something hit?
Shh, don't ever say that bitch's name to me again.
You kind of have a problem with J.K.?
We're arch enemies.
Does she know about this?
I mean, I'm sure subconsciously she feels something.
So you just kind of have picked her to dislike. Sort of.
Well, no, she presented her, people were like, oh, J.K. Rowling, she wrote all these great children's books. And I was like, oh, come on.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Yeah. You're just like, oh, big deal. Like, that's what you kind of felt.
I hated it.
Yeah.
And she, does these obnoxious interviews where she talks about her writing process. And no. I'm like, shut it down, woman. I don't have time for that.
Has anybody ever kind of talked to you about how maybe it's like a jealousy kind of?
No.
Because she's kind
No,
of...
because it's obvious that I'm superior to her. I'm putting out films right and left, and I don't even write half of the material. I farmed it out to my neighborhood kids.
Yeah.
And
Right.
that is what filmmaking is about.
I-
That is
yeah.
what writing is about. Is about going, you write it.
Yep. Yeah,
You and you
exactly.
and you and you write it.
Exactly right. It just, I mean, to me, I just know that J.K. Rowling is very beloved. And the last story that I heard about you that came even close to being beloved was a guy throwing a sandwich at you. Like he threw a hoagie.
To be fair, I was starving that day, and I don't want to say I was begging on the side of the road, but I was asking, people as they were passing by. I was saying, "Are you going to finish that?"
Yeah, right. And
Which
it just,
is not begging; it's just simply a query.
Yeah.
And this man, guess he wasn't going to finish it.
because
He threw it at me, and it did fall on the ground, and I did eat it, but.
Well, that's not, I didn't just hear that he threw a hoagie at you. What I heard is that this thing hit you in the face and kind of slid down, and it was just really embarrassing. And I feel like things like that might make somebody a little bit, I don't know.
I mean, does JK get that kind of treatment on a daily basis if she's lucky? She has that kind of, raw, raw animal connection with other human beings.
Right.
But
So you see it as these people are connecting to you. Like the man who threw that Subway sandwich at you, that was a very raw human connection. Yeah. That's really nice, actually. I'm going to guess that JK never gets that, actually.
Just a minute. What's wrong?
So this is really good. This is another one of those scenes that when I read it, I thought, okay, we're going back to the backyard. I think we've been there probably too long already, but let's do it. Let's just jump in and...
again, the lighting is an interesting choice because you really can't tell if we're outside or inside.
You can't, and also, I liked the idea of cutting this guy. He's basically the main person in the
You
scene.
can't really see him.
I was
He's
like-
just a nose.
Yeah, I was just like, I just want to cut half his face off let the audience use their imagination
For once,
for
it's
what
not a Mel Gibson film. It's not.
Exactly.
We're not going to spoon feed you.
this is not
everything.
Apocalypto where it's like everything is perfect
Everything is perfect
on the screen. And like, oh, here we need to. You're a baby. That's basically what he's saying. You're a baby. We're gonna give you everything and not make you think. I'm like, get his face a little bit off the screen and let them picture
Yeah.
what he's doing with
Why
his
don't they
eyebrows.
picture
What
their
is he?
own father?
Put your own project your own father onto him because you can't really.
He was very upset about it, though. Once at the
Oh.
premiere, he stormed up to you and was shaking his fist in the air and really
Well-
making quite a scene.
Well, that's how I think that's why me and you are such close friends, actually, and why we work together so well is because I got hit with food a lot during that screening as well. I mean, it wasn't hoagies, per se, but there were certain,
I know. At first I thought they had just missed. They
Look at
were
that.
aiming at me and they had just missed.
Do you see that look? I mean, that's kind of the level that he's on.
Yeah.
Like you get that look, and it's just like I don't want to be crap, but it shrink, like it goes in, like do you know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? It's like,
yeah.
but that's his power. That's really his power.
He's a very powerful man, and he did send me an email the next day. That it wasn't really an apology email. It was more like a "don't ever contact me again"
Yeah,
email.
you get a lot of those kind of.
No, it's not.
I don't really know why. I mean, I had been calling him at his home quite a bit, and he has a new baby.
And from what
I think I woke up the baby quite a bit, and that's what he was irate about. But
Yeah.
I said, Gianni, I apologize. I just want to talk,
Yeah, and yeah. I mean I think you got a bad rap for that whole thing, especially when all the court stuff started going down. I felt like you didn't deserve that.
I think it was just, a dramatic actor getting a little bit out of shape over not a lot,
Yeah.
He needed, any press is good press, right? That's what he said to me.
Exactly. Well, okay, let me just say this. Neither one of these actors, and this is something that is amazing when you watch this, is that neither one of them actually speak English. And we didn't find that out until, I would say, probably 10 or 11 days into shooting. And so we were
they
just
had
like,
us fooled.
So we were just like, let's just record. We'll just record our own voices over them. And noises. Crying noises. So,
I'm sure they're great in Yugoslavia.
look at that. I mean,
Off he goes.
There's no actor who can walk away from a crying woman like that guy.
I thought
And-
when I watched it on set, I thought he was actually really walking away from her. I was like, she's crying, Gianni.
Yeah. Well,
He was like, I'm doing the scene.
Well, and then I remember every time we had to shoot that one about
Rude.
12 or 13 times, and every time she would cry and he would be walking, you would start crying.
I don't know if it's part of being an artist, but I am very sensitive and
Well, I would say art. I don't know if I'd say artist, but
artist,
I don't
award
think-
winning.
I don't think I would say that. But what was interesting is that you were so loud with the crying that there was just audio. It was just an audio thing for the people who are interested in that kind of stuff.
You did. I remember to get through the scene, you guys put me in a soundproof cell.
Yeah, that's true. The cry cell, we called it. Remember? That's awesome. So this part we actually shot in the back of a Ruby Tuesdays, and we didn't set anything up beforehand about, and we didn't know. We were kind of like rebel filmmakers.
Yeah,
And
guerrilla film.
Yeah, so we were like, we had a lot of good takes, and then they kicked us out, so we had to keep sneaking back in. And
It was the most exciting day of my life. I won't ever forget that day because it was just like, we're all doing something. We're all making something.
Yep.
This may be nominated for an Oscar someday. So, and they're kicking us out, and we're going to go down in history.
yeah, well, that's what we thought. When we win those Oscars,
Yeah,
like
which-
Do they give out, like, you could win, like, multiple Oscars for one thing, right?
Yeah.
We were like, we're probably just going to clean up this stupid thing. We're just going to destroy it. And then Ruby Tuesdays, we're basically going to just like rub it in their dumb turkey burger faces.
They were not nice to us.
They were still not nice, yeah.
And they smelled terrible.
Yeah.
Well, but I think it elevated the scene, the smell, actually.
I think that, I don't know, something about the Ruby Tuesdays food makes you just act better and stuff. I've always thought.
It brings so much to the surface, you know. So much anger and fear.
Okay, so do you see how they looked in that box and they opened and the camera was like inside the box?
Yeah.
That was, that took me forever to do.
Well, I think you made that choice because of there was a portion of the script where it was all told from the point of view of whatever's in the box.
I think, yeah.
And I really
The original,
set it off nicely.
I think the original script, like, a lot of it was from the point of view of a box, and it was kind of an homage to that, you know.
Thanks to Delilah, 6-year-old Delilah down the street. She did that. That's all her.
She wanted to hear a story told by a box?
Yep.
Okay.
That's how I interpreted whatever drivel she wrote.
So this is, I don't want to get to, like, I'm basically like a David Lynch kind of guy where I don't like to explain the meaning of my movies.
Yeah. Why does everything have to mean something?
Or it's just like, I don't want to destroy the magic of it, sort of.
Right.
You know? But this, very clearly, these guys destroying this road, there's really, it's so obvious in digging up this mummy, this thing. This is so clearly about the Cold War, I feel like. And it's kind of obvious. And just like breaking the road up, and the Berlin Wall. Yeah.
And, of course, those communists and Russians.
Well, a lot of people have called this a communist
And outer
film.
space, the space race was going on. And so it was like, look at the night sky.
There was also, during this time, there was a lot of problems with gypsies. Just running amok and, getting in your backyard and stuff. And and that's why I wanted to put that gypsy woman in there. It's just to kind of address that.
Remember, that's your uncle you're talking about. And
right.
Nobody can play a gypsy woman like him.
He's one of the best.
Well, I think you gave a voice to the gypsy community because before they were just known as those backyard hooligans.
Yeah, it was like you couldn't.
And people came up with a very offensive term for gypsies called a gook. Or wait, no, I
think that's a different one.
That's a different one.
Yeah.
Well, they just called them shitheads. And
are you Asian? I can never tell.
Thank you. No, I'm not Asian.
I would say for someone who's not Asian, you use that word a lot. You use the G word a lot. Can you describe what you're doing with the mic right now?
I'm trying to do that thing. That people do where they like take a cylindrical object. They take a cylindrical object. They put it up to their mouth and they pretend like they're giving a blowjob. Like they press their tongue to the other side, so it looks like a penis is poking your cheek. Yeah.
What's the last? Can you describe the last blowjob you gave? I mean, because the way you're doing it with the mic is...
I don't remember. I mean...
You usually block that kind of thing out?
I don't keep a visual memory of every single thing that happened.
Well, the reason I ask is because the way you're doing the blowjob is really... It's kind of not very... I would say not very skillful. Yeah. Yeah. So this is where she really shines. This is where we were just like, look, go nuts.
Yeah.
Do
your thing, girl.
Do your thing. We've been having you play this kind of innocent little girl the whole time. Just go fucking crazy. And she did. And then
put the pedal to the metal.
And then she kind of like disappeared the rest of the day. I don't know what that was.
When she began to foam at the mouth, I was definitely concerned. And then later she told me not to look at her ever again.
Yeah.
And that kind of worried me.
She had a lot.
Delicate.
She brought a lot of weird baggage to the set, I would say.
But she also brought that smile.
I mean, she's great.
So what are you working on next?
So the next movie is actually called, I can't remember the name of it. Hold on, let me look here. I mean, Jesse, I make so many movies that it's hard sometimes to remember. Okay, so the next movie that I'm working on is called Women's Camp 119. And
I know because I wrote that.
you did write that one too.
Yeah.
I like lose track.
I know.
We work together a lot. So give us a kind of. You don't have to tell the.
What's it
plot.
called again? Women's Camp?
I think you titled it Women's Camp 119.
Okay. Well, 119 has special significance to me. There are 119 women's camps in America, and nobody's talking about it.
Okay, that's
So that's the byline.
right.
But right now, you know,
The-
I'm taking a break from filmmaking. I've just been working at what's it called? I've
Macaroni
been working
Grill?
at no, not Macaroni
Yeah.
Grill. The other one, Romano's macaroni cheese.
So you're not working at. Okay, I get what you're saying. You're not. You don't work at Macaroni Grill. You work at Romano's. Okay, I'm sorry about that. So all right, you're saying there's
And a
you-
Mervin's. I have a part-time job at a Mervin's. So
Wait,
it's just a
let's-
very restorative time.
Can we back up a little bit because you were saying that you went on this kind of political moment about how there's 119 women's camps and that's you wanted to address that with this film. What you told me, and I don't want to let your secrets out, but you said I called it Women's Camp 119 because I have $119 in my bank account right now and I just need to crank something out to get paid. Now, can you talk about that?
Well, that
I
was
don't mean to.
that was why I named it that. But later, I came up with a different reason, which is that there's 119 women's prison camps in America. So yeah, at first it was just about like, ugh,
Okay.
I need money.
And you don't.
119.
And you don't like it when people just call it Macaroni Grill. It's Romano. You want to be sure it's Romano's Macaroni
Have you
Grill.
gone crazy?
I mean, yeah. I kind of feel like you're taking the piss right now, but
No, I mean it's just like you want people to respect the restaurant, and like this is a place.
well, people come there and they eat our food and they
Tell me why I was invited to this meeting.
wipe their. They go with the
they-
lips.
They kind of all right.
And then
So
they
you-
wipe their lips and like the crusted white lips with cheese and sauce,
So you work,
and they wipe
okay.
them on our napkins. And these napkins are beautiful. I can't even. I made a blanket
That belief belongs to the dark ages.
out of all of the Romano's napkins. I made a blanket out of it, and it's the best blanket I've ever owned. And I promise you can never. It's an incredible blanket.
The power of
No
evil
cheese.
is real.
I just
Don't
think
wipe
it's-
your mouth.
I
with
think
it.
it's really interesting that you work in a restaurant and you are that disgusted by people getting food on their mouth. It seems like that would be a pretty common thing to experience.
It's all
in a
over the
restaurant.
place. It's like living with PTSD from this has not been easy, and it's definitely going into my scripts.
Well, I want to thank everybody for watching.
Thanks, everybody.
It might be kind of weird to end the director and writer, commentary about halfway through the movie, but I think
I mean, I really feel like the rest of the film is just a downward spiral.
well, no, I would say the rest of the film speaks for itself so much that if we were talking over it, it would actually take away from the film.
And it's awful. It's just really bad.
It's really, yeah. So next we'll be watching Women's Camp 119, and thank you for watching. And we'd like to plug Romano's Macaroni Grill. Give it a try, and have a good night.
Good night.